campus allows employees to work through steps and a grievance procedure to resolve issues to a win-win solution. It gives employees the right to work through issues together and with the school district and employees. And that's also something that I really need. What happened? Let's see. I believe our community is better than this. The district has the power to choose a better path. In fact, the Council Bluffs School District makes up a wise decision every year to extend the contract to teachers and maintain contracts through the language on the permissive language. And I just want to say that I think that you're doing a good job. But I really want to stress that if we don't have a contract, we don't have it in writing, that what's going to happen, not you guys, but maybe a few years down the road when other people are not like you, then they may not say, oh, we're going to get rid of that. Thank you.
Thank you. Would anyone else in the audience like to come up and speak today? All right. We will close the public participation portion of the meeting and move on to the superintendent's report. There's nothing on it. And move on to the superintendent's report. Dr. Murillo.
Thank you. At this time, I'd like to introduce Ms. Smith, Ms. Julie Smith, who is going to present for us an update on the Early College Academy this evening. Dr. Borthman is very ill. He has the flu and has been told by the doctor to stay away from people. He's very contagious. So Julie's going to fill in. We're going to present the Career and Technical next month. Some exciting things are happening, but we wanted to do the early college. After that, we're going to move into informational presentations and do the human resource update, the proposed health care plan changes, and the marketing update. So at this time, Ms. Smith, the floor is yours.
Right, thank you. Well, I am pleased to be here sharing such great news about our Early College Academy. Before we get started into the presentation, I would like to draw your attention to the logo that we have up here, which is going to be our official logo of the Early College Academy. I think is a nice reflection on the partnership of this program between Council Bluffs Schools and Iowa Western Community College. And it's really nice to be able to see Abraham Lincoln, Thomas Jefferson, and Iowa Western all represented there as a united front. So with that, get the right going here. Here's a look at our first cohort of Early College Academy students. As you remember, there are 11 total students that started in this cohort, although 3 are not pictured here. 2 are in welding class, and that meets at night, and the third one, I'm assuming, is at class right now when this picture was taken. The students are adjusting well and finding the classwork challenging and the pace very different from high school. That whole idea, maybe if you remember back when, of going to class for 1 hour but having 2 hours of work to do outside that, is kind of a new concept, but they're adjusting to it well. It's a happy group, looks like a happy group, and we're going to take a look at a few shots of them on the Iowa Western campus here. So here you see them at the Iowa Western bookstore. One adjustment to campus life is that you actually have to go someplace and get your books. That's a little bit different. They're able to check out their books for the classes that they're going to use, although for anything else they might want to purchase, as you see behind them, they're on their own for that. They've also been learning to navigate other places on campus. Their classrooms, they've all attended class now for about a week, a little over a week. And of course, they are enjoying the campus cuisine in the cafeteria there. Also kind of a different experience for them, an all-you-can-eat type of situation. And even though they've really only been there for a week, they've already registered for summer classes to take this summer. So registration is a little pushed up from what we might be used to. Whoops, go back one. So we are very fortunate. Iowa Western has given us this large room that is designated solely for the use of our students. This is a place where they can relax between classes. You can see it has kind of a homey environment on this side where they can kick back in between, or what's not pictured here are also tables and chairs where they can go in and use that room to study. It's really a safe place for them to leave their things in between classes, so they're not burdened down with their coats or backpacks or whatever they might have brought with them that day. And it's just a little place for them to call their own. And although the walls look kind of bare right now, this room eventually will have all sorts of flags or banners from different four-year universities, because one of the things we want to promote with this program is going on to get a four-year degree or beyond, but starting with just this program, and we want them to be able to use the wall to showcase their progress toward that. So as they might apply to Iowa State, they can have an Iowa State banner and their name by it, or University of Lincoln, or wherever they choose to apply. But so that this will really start to look more like theirs as time goes on and as they get used to that. So lastly, I would really like to share some information about our next cohort. We have 71 students who have applied for the program. The application window has closed and the essays have been reviewed. Based on the essay and the application, a pool of candidates will be invited to interview for the 25 positions for Council Bluffs students. Students from other districts, as you can see, we had some apply from other districts, will be considered for some additional slots based on the same criteria. So I know there was kind of worry that we'd be losing, like some of our kids might not get a chance because of outside districts. It's actually going to be some additional slots right now based on the same criteria. Students who were not selected to interview will receive a notice this week, so they can also apply for the Promise scholarships in case they didn't do that already. We want to make sure there wasn't confusion among kids that they could only do one, so we're really kind of extending that and really trying to notify those kids that, hey, you weren't selected for this one, but we do have this other opportunity for you to apply for. Next year, we probably will look at the timing a little bit differently. You know, this year we're up and starting and going, but the timing for a couple of reasons. As I said, the kids on campus right now just registered for summer classes, but their fall classes are, but we need to get it done earlier so they can get the fall classes that they also need to register for. And then we want to be very mindful that kids really understand the different opportunities like Pop Promise along with this that are afforded to them, and they might not be quite so close together. So that's one thing we're already kind of learning about, and we'll look forward to making even better for next year.
So before you switch to that, Julie, I want to, first I really want to thank Dr. Borthman for the work that he did. We had 2 parent meetings that went really, really well that he led for us, and had over 200 parents in some of the meetings. I know, Mr. Arthur, you were at the one at TJ. But the great problem, which is kind of hard for us to think about, was that we only have 25 seats and we have 71 applications. So that is a really positive piece about the Early College Academy. And then also having that ability for students that didn't make it in to attend their junior and senior year on the campus, that they can go into the Potawatomi Promise and really be a part of that next cohort. So we have some really incredible pieces here, and to see outside districts really take an interest in some things that we're doing here in our district, I think is also a good reflection, because we had a lot of inquiries, but we only received 3 applications. But again, knowing that right now our capacity is 25 because of funding, but we look that maybe one day we'll be able to increase that. Yeah, thank you.
So, and as Dr. Murillo mentioned, Dr. Borthman will be back next meeting to talk with you more about CTE, but I would be happy to answer any questions that I can about the Early College Academy.
I just have a question. Since we had 71 applications, how are the 25 spots chosen?
We have a criteria. Oh, go ahead, Julie.
I was going to say, there's a selection process. Kids needed to fill out an application. They all had to write an essay, and then there are scoring guides for each of those. That's kind of the first level. The next level after that is an interview panel that they would need to go through, again with criteria for meeting those scoring guides, and then the top 25 that meet the criteria will be selected for the program.
Are any of the professors at Iowa Western involved in selecting them?
I don't think any of those are on the selection committee, no. Not
Wouldn't
that that's
be-
a bad idea, but we just
Say,
don't.
because you're talking about the kids getting used to 1 hour class in 2 hours. We want to send kids there that are capable of cutting the mustard. Don't we?
We do. And I think that, I think one of the things, Mr. Grove, that is this is our first time through with really looking at that, and I think we're going to learn a lot about our processes and how to make them better once we go through that first round, and I think that's a great suggestion for us to consider.
I need to build on that, because what we did do, Bill, was we sit down with Dr. Welsh and her team to look at the criteria that we set up for selecting the students and got their input. In a prior district, we never brought in their staff to judge our students, because we felt like we knew the grit that it would take. We did have that college approve our process and make sure that we were meeting standards. But it is something as we get going. Dr. Welsh has just been wonderful. Her and her team have just been all over this with us. And the next leg of the race with CTE, you're going to see that partnership just continuing to grow. So, yes, we'll see how it goes, and if it doesn't, we'll bring them into the interview.
Go ahead.
Okay. So two things for you real quick. First one's pretty easy here. That 25, does that include the 8 currently enrolled, or would that
No, that's
jump
a
it
new
up to
cohort of
33?
25.
Okay. That's what I wanted to check first of all. And then I know one of the original concerns was that it would be generally kids from like the top of their class or something like that that would be trying to get into the program. Is there actually the diversity of students actually applying for it?
I think that comes out in the criteria that we look at when you are selecting that. GPA is one consideration, but it's not the top 5% or anything like that. We want to make sure kids have a strong GPA, but, things like attendance are equally as important. Because when you're talking about grit and perseverance and going for stuff, that's a really good indicator if you're coming to school every day, that you have that type of outlook that might be successful to you. So the criteria really isn't just about the top 10%. It's about a profile of a student who really has that motivation and wants to work hard and has the ability to be successful in that. So
That room that we have there, that's available for the summer when these students start, or? And then is someone from the district staffed in that room?
we have a person who is acting as a coordinator right now for that position, and we just finished interviews for a permanent coordinator for the position, and they will be staffed out in that room with the students.
And just for general resources, or what kind of programming or service would we provide?
A lot of what that person will do, especially initially with the new cohort and is doing right now, is really helping them to navigate what's going on, helping them to make sure they're signing up for the classes that they would need to either come do the work that they would need for an AA or certificate or diploma. Along with that, ensuring that the classes can maybe meet the dual requirement or what they still might need to do or extra credits they need to take in order to do their high school requirements, the graduation requirements that are going to be on. And so we're articulating that, and that person will be one of the key persons along with high school counselors in order to ensure that we're meeting with all of that. Along with that, they will do a lot of advising kids right there on campus. With looking at that, being a 16-year-old or being an 18-year-old on campus are very different. They need a lot more advice right then and there. So they are the person that would go over with them if a child might be feeling a little overwhelmed, or, oh my gosh, this is an online class, I've never done this before and I'm struggling. That's the person that's right there with them, helping them in doing that. And so it's really more like, providing a lot of guidance and assistance, as well as troubleshooting some of the things like, how do I get signed up for the right class, when do I go to sign up for classes, and all those type of things that would be on there too. So there'll be a lot of coordination between them and our high school counselors. They'll be recruiting kids, they'll be involved in all of that process.
Yeah. I think I may have asked this before, but do we know, is there any other program like this in the state?
What I've heard is Millard over there in the Omaha area does an early college, but the students do not tend on that campus. To me, it looks like more of a concurrent.
Okay.
But in the state of Iowa, I have not found another program like this where they're placing the students their junior and senior year on a college campus. I do know there's one in Missouri.
Johnson County. Is it Johnson County Community?
So have we had the first like midterm progress report for the original 8 students that have been in it?
They've
yet?
only been in class like 6 days.
Oh, okay.
And
I
right
would have
now-
thought that it would have been
Right,
more.
I mean,
Okay.
and right now, they're kind of on an accelerated pace, so they can get that in. So they are doing a great job working fast and furiously right now to do that. But no, we don't really have, so far, it's all good.
Ms. Smith, let me tell why. Because of the trimesters, our students had to finish second trimester and then start. Because we don't offer semesters, we do trimesters, it interfered with the students entering.
So what does it look, what's a day look like there for our students?
Right, I mean, if you think that, the classes that they take are 1-hour classes, so they might have, if they are taking 10 or 12 hours right now, in order to do that, they're only in class 10 or 12 hours during that week's time, basically. And so that's one of the reasons why that room we talked about and that place for them to go is so important, because they might go to class at 8 and be off until noon, and then go back at 1 and go off. So it's just like a typical college schedule would be. But that is, again, why it's so important that we have that space and they have a space to call theirs while they're there. So they don't have to leave and come and go campus. They have a good space to be.
But what's fascinating to me is that they're doing both. So they're being college students and high school students. And so, they're trying to maintain that responsibility.
Right. And the nice thing about the schedule is that, too, because it is open and flexible, if there is something, if they want to be in band and can come back and they don't have a college, they can go to the high school, they can do the band, they can come back, and it does allow that flexibility. But you can see why students, to be successful in this program, need to be highly motivated. It's, yeah.
Okay, any more questions from the board? All right, thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Smith. At this time, we'll move into the informational presentations, and Ms. McKenna, our new HR director, will be joining us to do her update for us, to kind of give us kind of an overview of what she's been doing her first few months with us and what her focus is.
Well, let's see how we can get situated. All right. Well, first of all, thank you for inviting me tonight. Really excited to be here. So as Dr. Murillo mentioned, my goal tonight is to share with you an update about what's been going on and really what does the future, what does the focus look like going forward. So with that, tomorrow marks, I counted it back there earlier, my 51st day with the district. That does include snow days and holidays. And so during those roughly 10 weeks, what I've been really working on is observing our employees throughout the district, learning our system, really evaluating our HR processes, building relationships with employees throughout the district, and really trying to figure out and design, what does this vision look like? How can HR be great? So with that, there are 3 core areas. The first area is a foundational area. And then second, and then third, so hire, inspire, and develop. Hire is focused really on hiring our top talent to bring them to our district and providing what we call a best-in-class candidate experience from beginning to end. The second piece is, how are we inspiring all of our employees to immediately connect to our district's mission and really engage in opportunities to connect with each other? Then the third area is being able to develop a culture of high-quality professional development for all employees and building a pipeline for future leaders. So these are the 3 core areas, the high level, and now I'm going to take a deeper dive and just focus on one main component of each. Otherwise, we'd be here probably for weeks on end. So with that, my main focus area for hire is really revamping our hiring process. Here, what we want to do is we want to streamline our external and internal processes, really for efficiency, and secondly, to ensure that we're providing exceptional experience for our candidates. So how are we going to do that? What does that look like? Externally, what that looks like is we're going to expand our online recruiting efforts. And we're going to do that, and we've already started doing some of these via Glassdoor, LinkedIn, and really some industry-specific sites for some of those tough-to-fill positions. Another component is we will enhance our applicant tracking system, which is really a fancy way of saying when you go to a website and you click on a job to apply, what that particular software tool does. We have opportunities where we haven't leveraged all of the new features. Just like with any software, there are new updates, new things that it can do, and our goal is to leverage what those can do for us to make it more efficient for us. So as an example, that would be something as simple as an auto post. We input the job that we're going to post for, and then it will then post to multiple sites for us versus us having to do it manually. Also having some pipeline pools, and that there would be maybe we interview different candidates and they don't fit for this job today. They were second in line, but they're going to be a great candidate down the road. How we're able to keep track of those and process those versus keeping Excel spreadsheets, kind of an old school method. Then another way that we're working on our hiring process, this one's a big one, multiple data entry points. Right now, we have multiple HR, finance, and payroll systems. The goal here is to move to one system, and that's where you've received some information about Tyler Technology. Right now, because we're entering in multiple systems, it takes us on average anywhere from a half an hour to an hour just to enter one new employee information into all of those different systems. When we have one system, that will cut it down tremendously, really to about only take 5 minutes. So it decreases the human error. The second area, the second focus area with Inspire, the goal here is to target in on new employee orientation. Here, what we want to do is streamline our new employee orientation process, really to capitalize on that excitement. Anytime somebody starts a new career, really capitalize on and showcase our mission. So how are we going to do that? Well, first, we have to update our orientation agenda. And what I mean by that is a consistent agenda. Right now, we really don't have that documented. And so having a clear agenda, having it consistent for every single orientation, having one presentation so that we're consistent during orientation, and having a similar flow. And so if one new employee attends orientation on, let's say March 1st, the employee who attends orientation on March 14th has the same exact experience. The other component with new employee orientation would be to decrease the frequency. Right now, we're hosting orientation every single week. And there's a lot of resources that go into hosting orientation. And so the goal here is to transition that to biweekly. That there will allow us, again, to focus on that candidate experience. And then when we have all the different parties in the organization involved with new employee orientation, it will only tap into those resources on a bi-monthly basis versus every single week. The last one happens to be on develop. So here, we want to develop a management development program. And what that means is we really want to enhance our bench strength at that administrator level. So where this starts at, so how are we going to do that? First, we need to do what we call a needs assessment. And that really allows us to determine what are those management skills that are important for you to be a successful leader here with our district. We have to identify those first. And after we identify those, then we'll build an onboarding program. So for new administrators like myself or others throughout the district, they then can onboard into our district and understand this is our way. This is what we value as being leaders. This is what's important to keep our employees happy and successful. Then the third piece is then now we have to identify who are those current employees that we have who aspire to be future administrators. We have to identify them and then circle back and build up their skills so then that way we can build that future pipeline versus having to hire externally. Not that it's a bad thing, thank you, you hired me externally. However, we want that talent internally. And so what can we do to keep that mission going for our kids? So with that, over the 51 days tomorrow, we have had a few successes. So this is just kind of a handful of different successes. And I'll just point out a couple different ones that I think are kind of fun. We've updated our employee landing page. Before, that was one thing that I noticed when I even applied, was this looks kind of archaic, kind of older, and being able to leverage the new features of our applicant tracking system. They said, hey, you guys have our old system. You want our new one? Yes, please. And how much? $0? Perfect. $0, and we get it. That's what we want. So then we're able to update that. Last week, some of you may have heard, we did have our first annual teacher-only career fair, which was a huge success. We had about 23 different candidates throughout the metro area. And what was really cool was this part, I don't think everybody knows this just yet, but we had a couple of different teachers from competing areas who heard about it and came in because they had current employees tell them, you should really come, and they thought that it was a safe environment for them to check it out, get to meet some of our different principals, see what the different schools were like. So they left thanking us, thinking, this is pretty awesome that we did this. So with that, next steps really are continue to hunker down and focus on those 3 areas, hire, inspire, and develop for this next calendar year. With that, I'll leave it to the board. Any questions you may have for me?
All right, so I guess for the, what was it? Sorry.
That's right,
Oh God, what was the third one?
develop.
Develop. Okay, so is that basically just looking at creating some sort of like succession plan within the district of sorts, anyway?
Absolutely, you're right in that same wavelength. So it is a succession plan. It's not an official, like you've been earmarked to then be the successor. But the goal really there is you want to find the employees who want it versus those who you may think want it. Oftentimes you have professionals who, because they're the best at that particular skill, doesn't necessarily mean that they're going to be the best leader or the best manager. But those who aspire to be that then are going to be that much more successful. And so first identifying who those are, and then second, providing them with that skill.
How did you identify that the management development program for administrators as a high need?
Yep, absolutely. Throughout my 50 days here, just talking with different leaders, talking with different employees, looking at different processes, and then coupling that with research that's out there as far as the best practices to keep employees engaged. So it's kind of a little bit of both, and then realizing that we currently don't have anything in place, coupled then with my experience of not necessarily having anything formalized in place, which happens most of the time with your HR directors, but thinking about that, what are we doing for others? We do a great job when it comes to our principals. We've got an established program there, which is fantastic. But then for those who are wanting either to become a principal or to become a director at one of the other areas, we can continue to do better.
Thank you.
Any further discussion or questions from the board? Awesome. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Thank you. At this time, Mr. Wilson will come up and present on the proposed healthcare plan changes. And as Mr. Wilson comes up, I'll kind of set the stage. We have been meeting with representatives on the healthcare, and we will take this back to the committee on March 20th to present that to them, the district committee. But we wanted the board to have an update on the work that's been occurring. Mr. Wilson?
The district has had in place quite some time an insurance committee made up of all the bargaining units and a number of employees. And one of the things that has come up time after time after time was the cost of non-single coverage. It's very expensive. I think if you would go out into the exchange, or if you look at your own health insurance, you would see that family coverage or things that are related to family coverage are very, very expensive. So when Dr. Murillo started, she said to me, Dean, we need to fix this. And so we went to work, and we tried to come up with something that would be in the best interest of the employees and also help the district move the needle forward in terms of reducing costs, because we have actually lost prospective employees from coming into the district when they see the cost of non-single care. The other thing as well is that we actually have some employees. I know of one employee whose take home was only about $400 a month because this person is selecting a family coverage because her husband lost his position, and that's not right. So this is nothing we have to do, but it's something we think is the right thing to do. Let me give you kind of a background right now. The district currently pays about $9 million in healthcare premiums for all employees. And what happens over the years is that the bargaining groups have come up with allowances that the district pays for health insurance on their behalf. CBEA, for instance, is about $1,016 a month, and SEIU is about $632 a month. And what happens is that we use that as an allowance that we pay for the cost of their health. So if you have a person in the CBEA who wants to take family coverage, all 1,016 is going toward the cost of their single plus that family, where SEIU is only $632. So right there, you can see that for, and if I had these all out on the paper, you would see that exempt, SEIU, and CWA, the groups that make the least, are paying the most for non-single coverage. And that's what we want to attack in this problem. When I say that the district pays an additional $2.8 million in salary rebate, which includes FICA and IPERS, for the CBA and the administrators, if they select just the single coverage, the difference between their allowance and that single coverage is paid back as a wage. And that's been done for about 25 years. So we have that going on as well. Currently, the district offers 3 plans. We have a $600 deductible plan, a $1,200 deductible plan, and a $2,750 deductible plan that employees can select as to what meets their criteria. Plan 2 is the most cost-effective from a surplus or a deficit standpoint inside the plan for us. These are the enrollees that we have, and you can see that most people for each one of the plans pick single. But if you look at the 6 members that are from the SEIU and the CWA that select non-single coverage, that only represents about 3.8% of all the employees taking non-single coverage. And that is really low. And so the argument that I've heard in the past is, well, people don't want it, they're not taking it. And my argument back to them is that it's too damn expensive, that's why they're not taking it. And we need to attack that problem. And I think we've come up with a plan that will address this issue. The current situation also is that we have approximately $7 million in excess reserves in our self-funded plan. A lot of employees may not know that we have a self-funded plan rather than signing a contract, say, with Blue Cross or United Healthcare, because if we did that, we'd have to live by their rules. We can actually make plan change designs in our own plan. And we want to have some kind of reserve because at some point in time, we're going to have a bad claims year, and those reserves need to offset that. The other thing that's not in, that some employees may not know, is that the plan pays the first $160,000 of any claim. We purchase reinsurance so that anybody's claim who goes over that amount, the reinsurance kicks in and it pays that portion. So it mitigates the risk that our plan has. We've had no premium increase in this plan in 3 years, which is almost unheard of. I've been hearing districts around the state, I'm hearing anywhere from 5 to 15% or more in terms of an increase in health insurance. Because of the way that we're managing this, it's doing well. You can see up on the board there, those are the allowances by the insurance group. And for the CBA, the CWA, and SEIU, those have been bargained over the last X many years. And then the admins and exempt, these have been provided, and those have been in place for many, many years as well. Anybody who selects coverage in the high deductible plan, they have to meet the first $2,750 of expenses, and then their insurances, their costs are free after that point for that calendar year. The district puts in $500 for those people into a health savings account. So really, their out-of-pocket is $2,250, not $2,750. And also, the employee can put money into that plan. If the employee leaves employment here, that money goes with them. We do not get any of that money back. As I said, we've lost prospective employees, and several current staff members are working primarily for little or no wages because of the cost of non-single care. So here's the plan that we're coming up with. We want to combine the $600 and the $1,200 plan into a $900 plan. So those show what the annual out-of-pockets would be for those. That would include the deductibles as well. We're going to use the reserves that we currently have in the plan to lower the premiums only for SEIU, CWA, and exempt employees only. Why? Because those are the groups that are paying the most. So administrators and CBA would not see any change in this. It currently involves 19 staff members that are taking non-single coverage between those three groups. The cost would be about $214,000 paid out of reserves. Now, the $214,000 is not for 19 staff members. In our models, we said, what if we had an additional 40 people transition over to non-single care? And that's where we come up with the $214,000. It could be more than that. It could be less than that. When we go to the $900 plan, the actuaries have determined that the plan will actually save about $300,000 in costs because things are more, because of the alignment of the $600 and the $1,200. So right there, the estimated plan savings will offset any costs that the reserves would have to incur for the increase here. And as I said, the model assumes a migration of 40 staff members. I'm going to skip this slide because it's a little hard to read. We try to blow it up a little bit. But what it shows is that you have a $900 plan on the left, and then the in-network at the $2,750 plan. There's an 80-20, after the deductibles met, it's 80-20, up to a maximum of $2,500 for a single person and $5,000 for a family person. After they reach the deductibles for the high deductible plan, they pay nothing out of pocket for the remainder of the calendar year. These are currently the premiums before any allowances that it costs for the plan. So you can see in Plan A, the single person, if they had to pay this fully, would have to pay $650. And then there's the different tiers. You have employee spouse, employee child. That should be children. It's one or more child. And then employee family. So you can see there, obviously, for employee family under Plan A, it's $1,882 is the cost. Okay, now, there's an allowance that we put into this, and I want to show you, this slide is probably the more important slide. In pink, what you're going to see is what we currently have right now, and I've broken this out by the various groups. So let's look at SEIU. Right now, an SEIU employee who has the $600 plan pays $39.86 toward the cost of their single care. Why? Because their allowance does not cover the cost of what that is. So they have to come up with $39.86. You can see also how much the cost would be for employee family for the $600 plan, $1,200, and $2,750 for SEIU. What we're going to do is we're going to adopt what the CBA is paying for these plans. And by doing this, you can see that if you take the $600 plan and the $1,200 plan, we blend those together. Right now, they're paying between $1,202 and $1,318 for family care. It'll go down to $866. Now, would we like that to go down further? Yes, but I think it's a good starting point. If you look at employee children, $569 to $645, it goes down to only $224 a month under the $900 plan. The thing I want to highlight is on the single, they pay nothing under this scenario. So right away, those people who are taking single are going to get about a $480 raise a year right there, okay? Their savings are even more dramatic under the $2,750 plan, but they're going to have to meet the first $2,750 of expenses, actually $2,250, because if they go into that plan, we're going to put a $500 in a health savings account for them, okay? CWA right now, between the $600 plan and the $1,200 plan, they're paying anywhere from $1,202 to $1,318. Again, it goes down to those same levels. And for exempt, $1,135 to $1,251, it goes down to those same levels. So an employee with children under each one of those scenarios under the $2,750 plan would only have to pay roughly $66 a month for health insurance out of their pocket. So we feel that this is a really good scenario. Now, the one thing that I do want to point out is that under the $600 plan for both CBEA and administrators, the CBA pays $935 for full family. The administrators pay $965. They would pay $866. Because of the blend in the plan, the $1,200 person currently pays $819. They're going to have to pay a little bit more, and the administrator will also have to pay a little bit more as well. But that's because of the blending of the plan. That is, in my opinion, the only negative about this whole process. But overall, I think that our employees are much better off. We presented this to the SEIU. They had a meeting on Saturday, and I generally received very favorable responses. There was one person that I heard in the audience when I was up talking, and this person said, "I'm glad they're finally doing something for us." So I feel that we've come up with a good plan. I feel that it is fair to the employees, and I also feel that it should go a long way to show our staff that we care about them, and that we are doing something we don't have to do, but we're doing it for their benefit. Are there any questions?
Go ahead, Bill.
just to be clear, if I understand right and I look at the figures, administrators are going to pay more for this scenario?
They would pay more under the $1,200 plan, they would pay a little bit more. Yes. If they have the $600 plan, they'll pay a little bit less.
So in the overall picture, you're having the higher paid employees pay a little more, and our lower paid employees are getting a better break.
You're getting a big
Wait,
break.
no, wait a minute, though, Dean, the key point that you're missing is they may be paying a little bit more in premiums, but they pay less in a deductible. So there is still, because they're only
That's
going to have
true.
a $900 deductible versus a $1,200, or unless they took the less.
Thank you, you're correct.
So that's the piece that equalizes it, because they're paying less in a deductible.
That's correct.
But my general point is that the people that benefit the most are the lower paid employees.
I mean,
Always with family.
I would say to that, as far as how much their monthly premiums are, they are paying a little bit less, they are paying a lot less. But for our administrators and our CBEA, most of us set on the $1,200 deductible. And so we are getting a $900 deductible, and we are paying a little bit more, but not a lot more. And it's kind of, I pay in less now.
Thank you.
Any other questions from the board?
So these are monthly deductibles?
Correct.
You're putting $500?
Excuse me, these are monthly premium payments.
Monthly premium
Yeah.
payment?
Yes.
You're
The-
putting $500 in a health savings account
For the high deductible plan,
The
The
HSA.
27.
$750. Yep. So really, their deductible's $2,250 after we put the $500 in for them.
One time.
Yeah,
One time every year, yeah.
but it can build up.
That can build up. They can also
Spend it
put
every
money in
year.
there, and
They can
You have to
put a
have it every
maximum of 60,
Wow.
100 a year in,
I think
something
they
like that.
can,
I want to say for Family, Dave, I want to say it's like $3,500 that they can put in there. I don't know the exact number, but they can put a lot away to cover their deductible plus a little bit more. It may be a little bit more, but
More than that.
Now, you said you went over this with the SEIU group,
on Saturday.
but you haven't done that with the CWA yet.
No, because we wanted to roll it out to SEIU because they were meeting. I knew that they were meeting. I didn't know when the CWA was meeting, and they asked me to come in and speak,
Okay, so that's your next step, is to talk to them,
and the exempts.
and then bring this back at our next board meeting for approval?
Correct.
okay. Well, I know we've been talking about it for a long time, so thank you for trying to work on a solution.
You're welcome.
It's awesome. Thank you.
And it looks like we're going to close out our informational presentations with Ms. Ostrowski, who will be bringing us up to date on the marketing plan. We are really proud of the work that her and her lead team have been doing, and I think you will see our next steps. We're not at the finish line yet, but we are down the stretch. So, Ms.
That's
Ostrowski,
right.
the floor is yours.
We have a lot more fun to have here. So, good evening. Thanks for the opportunity to share with you all and our broader audience here tonight information about our marketing plan efforts. These are in line with the superintendent's post 100-day plan goals, number 6. And so we are well on our way to making sure everybody in the area knows that we are an awesome school district. So I'm going to present to you a little bit about what we've been doing and where we're going. And I wanted to introduce to you, if you haven't met, Daniel Stidman. Daniel is the communications specialist in our department, and he, along with our communications lead team made up of administrators from throughout the district, really help guide and direct our work. And we are very pleased to have partners in that work. The purpose of our marketing plan has been to, quite honestly, attract new families to our school district and to retain our current families here to experience our schools all the way from kindergarten through 12th grade and beyond, right, with current technical education and ECA opportunities. We want to really reinforce the pride and provide a rallying cry for all of us who believe in our schools and what we provide for kids, and also to make sure that resonates among the broader community, including our taxpayers and our alumni. So far, we've had an opportunity to launch our new website. That was done in early January as we returned from the winter break. And that has allowed us to not only put a new face on our district for those who are interested in learning about us, but it also made it possible for us to get closer to meeting the accessibility guidelines and requirements for the Office of Civil Rights, so that anyone who has a disability is also able to navigate our website, and that's important that we make that happen. We've also, again, with Daniel's background in production and television programming, we've been able to just this week start a new program schedule. It's building, it's about 30 minutes of programming at this point. And so as you watch Channel 18, not that we don't love to see the slides of the board members up there over and over and over again, but it's going to be more dynamic. And the great thing is that we're working with student advisors to be able to promote and extend the audience for our student-produced work. I mean, how wonderful is that for our kids who produce Swarm TV or LPTV to not only get to have kids in their school see it, or anybody who happens to turn into YouTube, but anybody in the community who turns through Channel 16 as Cox Cable, they can see it. And so we're excited about really building that programming and then promoting the programming and getting people to watch what our kids are producing and what we want to share in our community, the proud things that we're doing. So if you have ideas for programming, let us know. Right, Daniel? We'll take good, okay, good. Okay. We've also completed the first mini campaign prior to the March 1st open enrollment deadline. And the purpose of that was really to make sure that we encouraged people who were thinking about where to send their child for school for next year, knew that we really wanted to tell them what we had to offer, whether they're currently in our district and considering where to go next year, or whether they're in another district and maybe looking for something different for their child. We know that people who are informed about those decisions make good choices, and we're confident that if people know about our schools, the choices, the opportunities, and the ways to succeed they have, if they see that for themselves, then they're going to choose Council Bluffs schools. So we embarked on this campaign to really invite people to tour our schools. We found that people did tour our schools, but we also found that people were touring our website based on the campaign that we ran. So here's just a few examples of the online advertising. We'd never done this before, but it's a fairly inexpensive way to reach an audience in a very targeted way. Think of all those families who aren't already on our Facebook pages or get our school newsletters or watch Channel 18. They may not have the opportunity to be informed or for us to spark their interest in our district. So there was a targeted online campaign along with other tactics, but we took the opportunity to show some of the ways that we really stand above the crowd in terms of what we offer kids. We focused on state-of-the-art technology that we have, the college credit earning opportunities, the before and after school programs through 21st Century, and all of our after school activities. So we took this campaign focused on those. Here are 3 examples of those moving ads that really, again, focused on those specific talking points around what we offer. We took the opportunity because we were recruiting at the same time for the Early College Academy that Julie spoke about here earlier. We had a 2-sided insert in the Daily Nonpareil and the Super Shopper that goes throughout Southwest Iowa. So there were 27,000 households who received our information about our schools, encouraging them to check us out, but also about this new opportunity that kids have in our district that others in other districts could also take advantage of. The next mini campaign will be starting a week from today. It's a campaign to let families who have kindergartners for next year to know about the upcoming events. So the first event is April 5th, and that one is designed to help inform and guide those first-time kindergarten parents. And I've had a chance to talk with a couple of them on the phone who called for tours, and they really don't even know where to begin. And I remember that 13 years ago myself, not knowing what to do as a new kindergarten parent. So on the 5th, we will have a meeting here as we have traditionally, but we'll take the opportunity to make sure families know about this. And as you can imagine, again, they're not families who are already engaged with the schools, so we're going to do a full-scale community outreach to make sure families know about that event, okay? And then we have a lot of families who already are in our schools, but they have a kindergartner coming up for next year. We want to increase the awareness of the events. We want to attract participants, and we want to establish new relationships with families. We really do. And then ultimately inspire a long-term commitment to be in our schools. So I'm introducing to you tonight what we will be launching next week, and that is our campaign. We cannot wait to meet the class of 2031.
Oh my gosh.
Can we believe it?
Going to be.
So you could be looking for this campaign to roll out online, on yard signs, billboard, in the newspaper, and on social media. So we're trying to use a great combination of low cost and little cost, and to attract and make sure our families in the community know about these events.
And show them the little box down there where they do seek for
Yeah,
themselves.
so if, this is see for yourself. So if they click on that, for example, an online ad, they'll go to a website, our website, that has a landing page for everything parents will want to know about kindergarten. So it's taking that see for yourself concept that we had in the first campaign and building on it for the kindergarten families who, by the way, have through September to be able to enroll in our district, even if they're in a different district. So they didn't miss an opportunity yet, because I guess the thinking is they wouldn't know yet in March that they want to enroll in a school particularly. So April's our big month for getting our kindergartners ready to roll. And this year, I looked, we have 692 kindergartners, or we did at enrollment time. And the projections from the birth rates says that we should have about 720, I think, for next year. Now that's based on about 58% of the live births in Pot County 5 years prior. Now our trend shows that. So, yeah, keep increasing enrollment. We just got to keep having big families in Council Bluffs. Here's another way that you'll see this. Just a fun way to kind of, you think of these photos as yearbook photos. These kids' first yearbook photos. They're so cute. Again, I mentioned we're going to promote this in a lot of ways to get people at our events. And then we're also going to standardize the presentation materials at each of the buildings. So each elementary school on the 19th, in 2 different sessions, will have parents come in for this event. And this is an important event for those families. So we want the events to be well thought and well planned. And we want to provide the support to the schools to be able to provide those materials, including a chance to do follow-up postcards and phone calls to those families to make sure that, we don't just see them in April and then not again till August. Let's go ahead and stay informed involved with them, and have them come to the end of the year carnival, for example. Start becoming part of our school community. That's a way to start building excitement and engagement with the kids. So our next steps are to launch that kindergarten campaign here a week from today, and then to finalize, and we've been talking about updating our Council Bluffs Community School District logo. We are finalizing some language around our tagline, and we will be presented in mid-March some logo ideas from our marketing partners at MSpace, and those will be presented to the board for approval. We did preview confidentially with you in a note what the tagline we're proposing, and I think we're going to be really excited. I know we're really excited about that, and then we'll work toward unveiling a new brand. Just to give you a little bit of historical, some of us in the room remember the Lantern of Learning. Does anybody else remember that? Yeah, got some hands. I don't think we really had a tagline. I don't recall in 2001 when we adopted this new logo that we really had anything that would be considered a brand at the time. So this one's given us 17 years, right? This Council Bluffs Community School District's Where Dreams Begin, and it served us well. I think that the Creating the Path Forward was a nice bridge for us. It was designed, as you might recall, or that it was designed to, again, market our strengths in terms of what we can do for kids. But now we're moving into the new brand and logo phase. And so we'll be excited to get that unveiled yet this spring. Okay? We're not waiting until next year. We got to get it going now, right? So I said a lot here in a few minutes, but I am very pleased with the partnership we have with our administrators and our cabinet and working through these great ideas. And really, I have the best job because I get to share with our community all the great things that happen, but know that our our staff members, our board members, our parents are the best ambassadors for our district. So not only do we need to promote the good things, but we need to keep doing great things for kids.
Any questions on the board?
The cute kid marketing tactic always works, so I would expect record turnout at the kindergarten roundup.
Should we add some dogs in there too?
No, I think the kids are,
Kids are
yeah,
good.
they're good.
Kittens, yeah.
Any questions?
Okay, thank you.
Thank you so much.
Thank you, Mr. Arthur, and board members. At this time, Mr. Wilson is going to put up a slide for us for the board development, workshop development, excuse me. And Mr. Arthur, I'll turn it back over to you.
Okay, that's really tiny. And so you can blame me on this because I was traveling and tried to send this with a computer and couldn't access this site because it has poor security. And so I had tried to send it with my phone and did not accurately send out the work for the week. So we're going to go to having this be a portion of our board meeting where we go through and we discuss kind of the standards for effective school boards, which is a part of the ISB curriculum. And the ISB, for those who don't know, is the Iowa Association of School Boards. They have a big convention each year and is designed to help educate school board members on their role and help them to try to align their personal feelings with being a board member and their personal biases with being a board member, and show them how to effectively work together. So if you want to click on that Standards for Effective School Boards in the blue, then it's going to open up like a 5-page PDF. Although I suppose it actually talks about those standards right below it. But, and then go down to page 2. So these standards, first standard there is visionary team. So how do you operate as a visionary governance team? This is one that we spent some time with when we went through our strategic planning process, 4 years ago? 4 years ago now? And probably something we should do again on that side. The student learning, making sure we have quality high instruction, or quality instruction, high equitable student learning. District culture, trying to foster a culture of excellence and innovation. I think it's where we kind of came out with the attempt at a best place to work kind of scenario. Policy and legal, so how do you be transparent and ethical and legal as a board? And, what meetings you have, and how do you have them? And fiscal responsibility and trying to use the resources, what little resources we get to meet all the legal requirements we have, and still try to have a staff and serve kids. And then advocacy, which is one I think the ISB really likes, is how do we champion for public schools. So as part of this, there is go back to, clear that thing out of there, will you, Dean? Or who's ever driving? David? Just clear all the way out of that PDF. Thank you, sir. So there is essentially a facilitation guide out of that. And so what we'll do is, I guess I'd like us to pick a standard we want to work in for this next meeting. And then what we'll do is we'll make sure we get out the work, like the visionary team one is interesting. It talks about, say you had a limited number of dollars, and you had either one place to put the money or two places to put the money. And the two places you could fund it 100% something you really wanted to do as a district to take it to the next step. Or you could fund 80-20. So 80 to one project and 20 to another. And then they pick 5 or 6 things that mean something to this group that are on there. And I thought that what we should probably have is have, maybe we can just pick on 5 or 6 kind of key things we'd like to work on and have those be among the choices. And then have everybody say, yeah, okay, I personally would like us to choose, they put money into X, whatever it is. or I like 80 to this and 20 to that. And then the exercise is you get together and you talk about those, why you chose that, and what that means to you as a board member. And then I think it just enables us as boards to talk in ways together at a board table where it's legal, where we can sit and talk about things that are passionate to us in education. When in reality, if we're trying to talk about things like that, it's outside of here. There can only be a couple people talking. And you can't do anything with that. But here we'll maybe say, okay, maybe we come out of this with something we would like to do as a board, and then we choose that as a path forward we'd like to work as a superintendent board team towards. That's kind of what we'd like to do. And had I been better at using the cell phone, it would have all been on to today's. But we'll get that out. I think maybe we can look through that, the options, and then we can have that out here like in a day or two and give people a lot of time to think through it, what they would choose.
Just send
And
out
then
a
we'll-
survey.
Yep. It's
Say
actually,
these one-
it's actually weirder than that, but we could do it as a survey. We could figure
Well,
out
I
that.
mean, to choose which of the standards that we want to first
Yeah.
address.
If you want
I
to
guess.
pull up
One was
the,
just an example that you provided, but there's.
yeah, do you want to
Right.
come, go down to the, click on the facilitation guide. Oh, go up, sorry. Back to standard one. Standard one. Because the student learning, a lot of the other things in here are not actually built out right now. Which is kind of strange, because they're on there, but there's only one exercise. So student learning, if there's 6 pages, it might be at the bottom. Go all the way down. Okay, there's their choices. So increase in course offerings, programming to better meet a wide variety of individual needs. Solid fiscal security, blah, blah, blah. So there's different choices in here. We'll probably make kind of a set of them that we think might be applicable to us. Because I know like busing is one here. But we could use these if the board would like. But I think like infrastructure development, I think we've developed a lot of our infrastructure. And then you put it on there, you kind of put the whys, why you think you should choose that.
Of course, you highlighted that one.
Yep, yep.
Just for fun.
Yeah. Or your own choice. And then we talk about those. So, I don't know why it couldn't be in a survey.
Well, I mean,
You know.
Where to
my
start?
thought was
Survey
a
format.
survey to decide which standard we wanted to talk about first.
Well, we could.
Whether it be
We could.
visionary or student
we could.
learning or advocacy.
We could do that.
That way we can have
Yeah.
kind of a consensus
That'd be fine.
on what issue and
We can do that.
standards.
So can we send a survey fast and,
Yes.
okay.
Mr. Technology, Dave, would you please put together a survey off of these standards for the board members, and we'll send it out tomorrow?
Yep.
And, yeah, I'm sure
The
it
other ones
will.
have a lot of different,
form?
different work exercises.
Okay.
But, yeah,
And then once we've chosen a standard to
We can
talk,
send out
then the resources will be sent out.
Yep.
The documents.
yeah, we can do that. Very good. All righty. And then now I need a resolution to go into a closed session. Is there a motion?
Be it resolved that the board go into a closed session as provided in Section 21.5, Parent 1, Parent I of the Open Meetings Law be conducted to evaluate the professional competency of an individual whose performance is being considered to prevent needless and irreparable injury to that individual's reputation, and that the individual has requested a closed session.
Thank you, sir. Is there a second?
Second.
Dean, please call the roll.
Dr. Ogres?
Yes.
Mr. Kazire?
Yes.
Mr. Minchell?
Yes.
Mr. McGlade?
Yes.
Mr. LaFurla?
Yes.
Mr. Grove?
Yes.
Mr. Ardley?
Yes. And we are going into closed session. Thank you. I suppose, should they take these with them? You got your write-up.
I made a copy. You just can't click on the attachments, but I have a copy.